Now, we did not invite you to this campaign launch to shock you or to scare you. Nonetheless, it is important that you know a little bit about this heinous backside of the Ahijo and Biya regimes. Prior to 1961, there were no political prisoners in southern Cameroon because the Anglo-Saxon tradition espoused by southern Cameroonians allows for freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. Freedom of expression and freedom of assembly are two critical freedoms that our people hold passionately and dearly. La République du Cameroon has so many political prisoners because of the frivolous basis on which abductions and incarcerations are done. Our political prisoner number 0004, for example, is a barely literate building technician sentenced to 12 years, languishing in the notorious Yoko prison, where he's slowly going blind because he was caught picking up a ghost town flyer in the town of Boya. So he's caught in the town of Boya and taken all the way to Yoko. And he's there going blind. You can see his picture on Twitter as we go. So the worst place in the world to be jailed is Cameroon. And as you've heard, the jails are overcrowded, they're incredibly unhealthy, they're noisy, they're unclean, they're filthy. And the food, when provided, is unfit for human consumption. And I doubt that our people even touch it. Malnutrition is common, and food supply is irregular and inadequate. Torture, of course, is extremely severe. And as you've heard, it's delivered in three forms. The first type is the torture that you get from the horrendous environment that you are living in. That itself, a darkened, unhealthy bunker, is torture number one. The second form is the harsh torture that is applied, especially to sensitive parts of the body, to cause you pain so that you are in pain and you develop wounds, scabies, and everything. The third, inside of the specialized bunker, the third type of torture is inadvertently inflicted on other prisoners by the sheer screams of horror emanating from the mistreatment meted out to their fellow inmates. Just hearing your fellow inmates is another torture. Now, the success of the Release Them campaign will depend on our joint efforts. This launch program is going to continue with uh, some speeches, some presentations of the different prisons, their capacities and conditions, some of the human rights violations. You will hear about some of the missing persons that have been abducted by the military, whom we disappeared and we never saw their corpses again. We never heard anything about some of them. Now, I'd like you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the program.
Hunger strike that we shall not stop, okay? Even if it means it has to clear us. I'm prepared for the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. Joe Trank. Ayuk. Ote. Ayuk.
The sound is gone.
This video shows
the bunkers in the prisons of La République where they keep our people with no lights. We have with us today Mr. Edward Tabi.
My name is Edward Kondo Tabi. I am currently resided in the United States of America. This thing I'm about to tell you guys today and the world is something that I've been keeping for 4 years because I didn't get the right platform and the security that permits me to say these things. So my name is Tabi Edward Fondo. I am one of those people that just passed on screen in this bunker video. If you look at this video very critically, 2 minutes, 46 seconds, you will see Edward Tabi Fondo. I was adopted by the military of Cameroon on the 16th of the 6th month, 2017. I was blindfolded. I was chained, my legs together with my hands. I was tossed in a bunker of a Fort Hilux, and the military drove with me in this trunk for 8 hours, from 6 a.m. in the morning till 2 p.m. in the afternoon. When they got to me in Yaoundé, I realized I've been in this truck for 8 hours because I saw a clock in a military office on the wall with the time. I could not tell whether I passed out how many times in this trunk. I could not tell. At that point, the military officer asked me a few questions, then kept me in another bunker. That was the first bunker I stayed in Yaoundé. I stayed in that bunker for about from 2 till 12 in the night. 12 in the night, I was blindfolded again. I was chained in the same way they chained me. And then they tossed me in this same truck and then took me to a detention torture center, which is called DJRE. DJRE is in Yaoundé, a torture center for Boko Haram and other hardened criminals. I was taken there in the middle of the night. But during the day, when you are blindfolded, you will hardly see. But in the night, when you are blindfolded, because of the lights in the corridor or in the house, you will see a little bit. I was taken to this torture center. I was kept in a room till the next morning, alone with chains on me, in a deep bunker in that same room, in that same building, DJRE. The next morning, I was taken off this bunker, and one military officer spoke to me. This military officer is the husband of Madame Abena Ombezwa, the Supreme Judge of Military Court in Yaoundé. Madame Abena Ombezwa, the husband, is the director of DJRE. You can imagine. I stayed in this DJRE for 11 days without seeing or talking to any person apart of military officials. I was beaten on an hour basis, not even a daily basis. I was beaten to an extent that those things I even told or accept from them, I cannot remember all of those things. As I'm speaking today, I am very aware that God exists because I'm alive today and I'm in the United States to testify on what happened and what is happening on the ground. After torture in DJRE with several interviews, I was taken from DJRE to Judicial Police Elite Esono in Yaoundé. I was taken from DJRE in the same manner that I was kidnapped from Bamenda. I was blindfolded, handcuffed, chains, with wounds on me for 11 days. This beating was not like somebody is beating you with a rope or a stick. It was like, I can call it a fight, because you can imagine 11, 10 military kicking you, boxing you, hitting you with all kinds of stuff, just for me to accept what they want me to accept, just for me to tell them what they want me to tell them, not what I have to tell them. As I got to the Judicial Police Elite Esono, I met with 10 other Anglophones. They have kept them in a small room no toilet, nothing, nothing. Just a bucket, you pee and you stew inside. In judicial police, a leak is so no. You can imagine that kind of an office with no toilet for people, like detainees or something. I got to that position. I was asked by the police commander to write an apology letter to the government so that I'll be released and free. Then God has already spoken to me that you are dead already. So I started making straight decision in order to die in peace. I told the police commander, I'm not writing any apology letter, and the government of Cameroon is supposed to write an apology letter and compensate me for my stress. At the judicial police, I met with Fabiano Deco, I met with Asa Patrindango, Beten Kisop, Wichingo Fabiano, Kuala, and the others. People who have been kidnapped from different parts of English-speaking Cameroon and brought to judicial police illegally. My case was very different because I was taken from Africa to Yaoundé in a bunker where that I cannot identify, and then from there I was taken to DJRE, from DJRE to the judicial police. So as Anglophone people, we started praying together, sharing ideas together. I was so lucky. In fact, the group was so lucky because we had two elderly people who could guide us, Mr. Asa Patrindango and Beten Kisop. Everybody played their roles as they could, as they did. At the judicial police, all of us Anglophones, innocent people, they did not allow our visitors to see us. They did not allow us to get food. They did not allow us to get water. If we want to get anything, we have to pass. At that judicial police, that was when I sent a message to my family, I'm still alive, because by then nobody knew where I was. I used a visitor that who came to look one Anglophone, that was Asa Patrick. And then I sent a message to that visitor to my family that I'm alive. That was how people knew I was alive and in the judicial police. As we struggled in the judicial police, they kept asking us to write an apology letter and be free. And we Anglophones, as patriotic as we are, we tell them, no, if we have to do these things right, the person who is at fault is supposed to apologize. It's the government, not us. Now they struggle to force us to sign this letter apologizing. We did not. Then one night, 12 o'clock in the night, they told us that the president has asked them to release us to our family. We were very happy. In the judicial police, the visitor that came to visit Mr. Asa Patrick and my other brothers, we always ask them to buy food stuff and water and come and give us, because when we give 5,000 francs to a police officer to buy us water, that police officer will buy us 2 liters of water, and that is the price for 2 liters of water, 5,000 CFA. So we have to give this money to the people who come to visit us to get us water in huge quantity, peanuts, gari, that we can be managing in the judicial police. So that night, they told us the president has asked them to release us. We were so happy. With all this food stuff that we have stocked and water, we do not have any person in the cell to leave these things to. So we had to carry our stuff because we were just Anglophones in this room. We took our things, got out of the judicial police. In front of the judicial police, we saw a long line of military with serious guns, and all of them were having masks on their face. They just show us to a white bus with no windows. They asked us to move inside in French language, and they were pointing their hand. They were pointing their hand at that, and then we got into the bus. They blindfold us, handcuffed us in that bus, and then drove with us for about 20 to 30 minutes. From there, we got to the judicial police, said gendarmerie. They opened the bus, we came out in the night, lights. So because we were blindfolded and it was in the night, then we have lights on building. We could read some of the names on the building, some of the things that they have written on the building. So we read and we realized we're in the judicial in said gendarmerie. The person that confirmed to us that this is said gendarmerie is Beten Kisop, because he has been there a couple of times. We came out from this car. They directed us and we started moving in on a line. We just follow as they direct us. We enter a building, it was a house. They show us to the corridor. We got to that corridor, they show us another corridor. All of a sudden, they point us to start going down in a building. We went down for about 2 minutes. We descend a staircase and we got into a bunker. Look, in this bunker, there are so many ways you can kill a person. If you starve a person, not give that person water, that person will die. But if you still want to kill this person, you can still give this person dirty water. In this bunker, we could die very easily because there physics will kill you, rats will kill you, but we survive. Look at the way we survive. These military people in Cameroon that are very corrupt. They were taking guard on us so that we would just die, but we did not die because of the food and water we carried from the police. So we pleaded with one military one day to give us his phone so that we can contact our family members to give us more water and food. But this, our family member is going to send money on his phone for him to give us some of the money and then take the rest. That was how we got a phone from this officer. We made this video rapidly and then we sent this video out. The video first went back to Belgium. By then, Evis Ngole was on in a meeting with Anglophones diaspora. As this video came out, they tortured us for 3 days non-stop. You people will testify after this video came out, nobody saw us for 3 days. People came at the gendarmerie to see us, Amnesty International, Red Cross, they refused. But because this video came out, we did not die. So they started taking us from the bunker, distributing to different detention places. I was transferred to Konenge Principal Prison, maximum security. Others were transferred to the Central Prison. It is in one venue, but just direct opposite. When we got to the prison, it was another hell. And as I speak to you today, what kills me is the fact that my brothers are still going through the same hell I went through. And it is worse than what I went through, if I must tell you this. At the prisons, the Red Cross International, they go about giving food and medication to people who are detained in prisons who do not have relatives or people to help them. The Red Cross came and saw us Anglophone detainees. They started treating us because we came out from the bunker with too many illnesses. They took me specially because I had scabies all over me. My mouth was red, my nose was red. It was like I'm going to blow off. They started treating me. These people helped some of us, most of us, took our family from the Northwest and Southwest, take them to the military court, did the pass for them to come and visit us in prison. That was how some of our visitors started coming to see us in prison. By then, some of our visitors will come to Yaoundé to visit us. They will not give them the permit to see us. They will go back to Bamenda. So one day, the Red Cross official that came into prisons, and I took a bucket of rotten corn powder. It's called fufu corn, that they boil and give to us to eat. And I showed it to this Red Cross officer that this is the way they are poisoning us in the prison, Anglophones. The Anglophones in prison, as I'm talking to you today, they are slowly poisoned on a daily basis. Bad water, bad food, bad air, bad condition, and solitary cells in prisons that they put Anglophones in on a daily basis. Those people in prison are attending solitary cell on a daily basis as I speak to you. When I was in prison, they have to put me in a solitary cell just for me be happy that Bolanjo Lutumbe speak on on BBC. I was put in a solitary cell. Now, after showing this bucket of food to these Red Cross officials, they were so disappointed. The government of La République asked the Red Cross official never to come again in prison. And as I'm talking to you, the benefit I was getting in prison with other Anglophones, they do not have the benefit again because the Red Cross officials have been stopped more than 3 years ago coming to detention in prisons to help Anglophones. I have a Red Cross official card here that was given to me by a Red Cross officer. These people in Konengi, they are in terrible condition. Not only in Konengi, you have driven detention places in Serge Gendarmerie, about 36 driven underground prisons. 36 driven underground prisons. Deja Arei, you still have Anglophones there. These people are being tortured on a daily basis on several occasions, several different ways. As I speak to you today, I'm in the United States physically. Mentally, I'm sick because my brothers are going through what I went through and even worse than what I went through. It's a terrible thing. La Republic of Cameroon has decided to reach redemption by not listening to the fellow Anglophone people, and they are being killed on a daily basis. The worst part of my story is Mr. Tangem Thomas, who died in prison, was the person I was sleeping with directly in the bunker. I slept by his right side because we position ourselves in a situation where the elderly people sleep at the corner and the younger people sleep in the middle. Mr. Tangem Thomas, I've never lie for a night in this United States without seeing Mr. Tangem Thomas. I used to put my belly on the ground with Mr. Tangem Thomas for hunger not to kill us when our peanuts and groundnut got finished. La Republic killed Mr. Tangem Thomas in prison with a chain, refused Red Cross official to come and give Mr. Tangem Thomas medicine and water. This is what my brothers are going through in Konengi. You have Joe Tang, you have Asa Patrick, who started getting blind in the bunker. Betenkisov started getting blind in bunker. You have Funi, you have Benji, you have the Mancho BBC. You have people who came into prison without no illness. They have developed several illnesses. The American immigration system would testify that they treated me when I got into the border with the terrible illnesses I carried from me when I left Cameroon. I left Cameroon after I was released because the U.S. Deputy Permanent Representative of United Nations asked for me to stop trying innocent civilians in a military court. I've been to the military court more than 12 times. After leaving the prisons, the government asked a military to come and shoot me at my home. Military came and shot me at Nitop 1, TAP, on the 21st of January 2019. Look, I did not die because God wanted me to come here and then give this testimony. Let me hold it right there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much for that testimony.
We are going to have the first set of speakers that have been actually invited to address us. The first will be Ms. Jackie Fernley.
Well, yes, that was a very moving story. My involvement has come about through helping Cameroonian torture survivors here in the UK for the last 15 years or so. And of course, I read a lot about, and I heard from them a lot about the prison conditions and read amnesty reports. But I only began to meet virtually prisoners in Cameroon as a result of this work, because Martin Yembe asked me to help Ngalim Felix when he disappeared in prison one year. Nobody could find him for a while. I think that was 2012. But that gave me more insight, more and more kind of feeling for how dreadful it is. And he was always asking, well, those times he managed, between us, managed to get him out, though, in the earlier times. But when it came to being imprisoned, late 2016, I was just so amazed at the way that he was just being taken to court over and over. I was just saying that in this time, these last 5 years, I felt that every time I was trying to trying to draw attention to the situation with the prisoners, but I felt rather a lone voice. I mean, I would write to the newspaper, or I spoke to the Archbishop of Canterbury, and I did different things, but I was essentially, there wasn't a lot of, there weren't many people around me in that sense. But I did have one glorious moment. I don't know whether anybody heard about the meeting in London that was connected with Parliament when one of the deputy high commissioners came from Cameroon to explain to us all how what a good place it was, I suppose. And there were questions at the end, and I asked him why did they feel that they had to rely on torture for in their government, and it was obviously was a weak spot, and it made, I mean, he said, oh well, it's just a few bad apples, and we don't have any control over what people are doing in those situations. But I felt that it needed just such a light to be shone on it, and I just am so glad that this campaign is beginning, and I'm very keen to help in ways that I can. I wonder also, well, I don't know, probably nobody's aware that there's an amnesty campaign coming up too. The press release is embargoed until Monday, so it's probably best if I don't say too much about it, if this is going to be very public. But there could be ways in which to sort of augment what they're doing as well. It's a campaign that will last for a couple of months, I think, and obviously they're also bearing in mind that that AFCON is taking place, which has also made me think, well, a lot of journalists have managed to do quite a lot of reporting, and is that going to pave the way for being able to build on that and identify some more people who might convey the message? Because I noticed the World Service wasn't completely shying away from the fact that there were problems, and I think that journalist, I might be being over optimistic, but I thought he could be followed up afterwards as well. And I don't think I needed to say anything else, except I wonder whether any of the prisoners had managed to tune into this, and I'll just say hello, and I hope that these campaigns, I know they do give hope, and I really hope that we can actually achieve something in the face of the lack of space given to the legal processes, because obviously it isn't something where you can go to court and end up being proved innocent. There's usually, as people saying, no evidence, and somebody is having to wait for a phone call from the president to find out what the verdict's meant to be. So I guess that does obviously need political pressure rather than, although my other thing to mention, I suppose, is that I've really become aware of how depleted the lawyers have become who are trying to help, because obviously people, they're doing a lot of work pro bono, and they can't go on forever, and this process of going endlessly to tribunal hearings is just it's unsustainable for them in the end, because and relatives can't pay lawyers. So I just mentioned that as another aspect. But I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm going to look forward to the rest of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jackie, for that presentation. And we are really, really glad to have you as one of our champions for this campaign.